at one point I was permitted to be inside the hangar. The craft was taken outside, and it was a very unimpressive test. The craft just lifted off the ground and moved around slightly. However,
would have impressed me.
Well, as I've said, that's as unimpressive as a flying saucer test could be. But I mean, as far as it zooming around and doing all kinds of exotic maneuvers, it didn't do that.
In your opinion, would humans survive in zooming around mode in these craft?
Absolutely. But my point was that the person was apparently in communication with someone in the craft. Now, from what I was able to see, and I believe I even asked the guy, that he was communicating with him on a normal VHF transmitter around the 200 megahertz bandwidth,
right.
And with the gravitational distortion around it. In fact, this even relates to another question someone else had asked. I would imagine, and with the EMP effects of the craft, I can't understand how they can receive that in the craft too. So there's an awful lot of questions that I would really like to know the answers to, and obviously people ask these questions too.
Sure, the 200 megahertz area would be military frequencies generally. Let's try a couple of questions from the audience. So little time. First time caller line, you're on the air with Bob Lazar and Gene Huff. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, where are you?
I'm calling from Bellingham, Washington.
Yes, sir.
And respects to you, Mr. Bell. Your program is excellent.
Thank you.
I have a question for Mr. Lazar.
Ask.
2 times
Before
in my life I have seen... Huh?
Before I fall asleep.
In any of this, did you ever see any sort of strange blue light?
Yes, around the, strange blue light wasn't that strange. When the craft began to lift off the ground, because of the high voltage present on the very bottom of the craft, there was a corona discharge, kind of a brush-like fuzzy blue glow around the bottom, which dissipated when the craft got up to about 30 feet or so, but that was the only, unique blue light.
Color effect that you saw, right. Mm-hmm. East of the Rockies, you're on the air with Bob Lazar and Gene Huff. Hello, where are you?
I'm in Oklahoma City.
All right, sir.
And I was listening to the program, and then you was talking about that model.
Yes.
And on that booklet said that when he was inside the craft and he powered it up, one of the panels become, invisible-like, and then there was some kind of weird writing on it.
All right, transparent. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, that was I was going to touch on that when I had mentioned that all the seats were facing in one direction. Between each archway in the craft, there's obviously the skin of the craft. Mm-hmm. That one archway, that the seat's face is apparently unique. Now, I say apparently because the other archways may in fact do this, but I saw no evidence of that. But the one time when I went into the craft, there was another team working in there, and they energized that portion, that archway in the craft, where the skin of the craft became transparent. Now, that's not the most amazing thing. I mean, we have liquid crystals that do that too.
It's true.
In fact, I think the new Buick sunroofs do that. However, this is more metallic than crystalline, so this was certainly another, unique material that can be used as, obviously a transparent, translucent viewport, or some sort of video or whatever their output is, display panel.
All right.
Well, also, Bob, on what this gentleman was referring to, you said on the right side of the archway was a solid panel and some sort of unknown writing scrolled down that, right?
Right. Well, I related it to writing. It's just the closest thing I said it looked like was Korean. Korean, right? I mean, I'm not very familiar with writing. Do you know what Korean writing looks like? It's mostly lines and little.
Well, it's like Chinese.
Well, no, not really. Chinese kind of looks Chinese.
All right, I'll take a look at Korean writing.
But that's my closest analogy to it. I'm not saying that it represented it in any way.
I understand. West of the Rockies, you're on the air with Bob Lazar and Gene Huff. Hello.
Yeah, good morning. This is Alexander in Central California.
Yes, sir.
I was just curious whether you're able to identify the material that the emitters were hanging off of, as far as elemental sort of thing.
No, we never got to that. That was certainly further down the line, but it was identical, at least apparently to me, to be what the waveguide was also made of, that connected to the reactor. And in fact, removing the reactor, if you grab the waveguide and lift it up, it just collapses in on itself. I mean, there's no visible seams or anything. It just gets smaller. But there's really no way to describe it. We weren't able to perform any tests on it other than just standing there and looking at it in amazement.
All right, listen, I want to give, you guys have been so good, I want to give you an opportunity to plug something or another. You've got a tape, I know. Gene, how do people can you still get that tape or not?
Yeah, you can
Well,
still
actually,
get it.
the reason that tape is in existence was so I didn't have to do any interviews. And I used to just give that out to people because I absolutely loathe doing interviews, but we found people were selling it instead.
Yeah. But Art, they can get to your website, to our website, and everything's on there. And then, in fact, we never advertise it or anything. I'll cook up something. We'll give some sort of discount, knock it down for Art Bell listeners if people are interested in buying it. I'll go ahead and discount the tape and the poster on that web page if they mention Art Bell.
All right, but not everybody has a computer, so.
Okay. Well, if you're interested, you could write to Tridot Productions, TRIDOT Productions, 2413 Southeastern Avenue, Suite 225, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89104. And we'll have the girls send you a postcard and give you prices and addresses and places to send money for a tape or poster if you'd like.
Do it again, please.
It's not Southeastern, it's South.
Okay,
Eastern.
It's Tridot Productions, TRIDOT Productions.
Right.
2413 Eastern Avenue, Southeastern Avenue.
Yes.
Suite 225, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89104. And they write, and if they're interested, we'll send them a postcard.
All right. When the screenplay that you are now developing that is going to tell this whole story, Gene,
yeah.
When will this be manifested into something that we can go out and watch at the movies?
Well, I don't think Steven Spielberg could tell you that. The fact is, the first movie deal, literally the president of the studio came to meet Bob and said, I'm going to make this movie.
Do you want to help or not?
Yeah, and 5 years later, that movie's still not on the screen, so I would not be so bold as to give a date, but these people do seem serious, and if they could wave a magic wand, they'd like to have it on the screen in the summer or fall of 1998, but I mean, who knows?
Well, the atmosphere for it now, after the way the genre has been going, has got to be just right.
Well, they say that if a mediocre movie like Men in Black, and we all had hoped Men in Black would be great, but it was kind of mediocre. It did $230 million just here in the United States, so I would say that's more than encouraging.
Bob, are you going to act at all in the movie?
Well, but actually, I don't want them to make the movie.
You don't?
No.
Really? Why not?
Well,
you really haven't been.
He's afraid they'll make it outrageous and won't stick to the storyline.
Well,
the problem, Art.
Well, no,
he's probably right, by the way. They will,
Well, you have to, when you sign a contract for a movie deal, you have to sign, you have to sign away every right. I mean, they could turn it into anything they want. And so Bob kept it close to the vest and restricts what they can portray. They can't portray any live aliens. And
I don't know. By the time it's over, you'll have little guys going, yak, 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 yak.
Well, not with my name on it.
Steven Seagal will be fighting them with a machine gun, probably.
Well, it sure has been a pleasure doing this, and we sure did get a lot of good information out.